Just close your eyes. Know the peace within.
You are ever present here. Your presence is throughout. But you never know that you are ever present here. You never know that you are here at the form level only by consciousness within. Your consciousness never knows that it is consciousness. Your consciousness never knows its eternal beauty. Your consciousness never knows that everything is happening here spontaneously and there are no persons here. It is your consciousness which is creating entire manifestation just now. But it never knows that out of this consciousness only everything is happening here just now. The potential of your consciousness remains unknown. Your consciousness is totally trapped at the form level identities. And it accepts itself as a tiny form, not knowing how the form happens, how the form moves, how the form is created, and everything around itself is created, perceived just now. Your consciousness remains totally ignorant about itself. The first point is your consciousness never knows that it is consciousness. It is accepting itself at the form level identities with certain labels. Initially, it has to accept, but it should know what it is. Your consciousness should know what it is, out of which entire cosmos happens, entire world happens, every object, whether living or non-living, happens just now in your consciousness. The mega secret about its potential remains totally unknown to itself. By not knowing what it is, your consciousness accepts all theories imposed on it unknowingly. Your consciousness never goes inward and finds out what it is. Because the entire secret about itself is within, it's not outside. Outside there is nothing except reflection of light within space. Your consciousness throughout the waking state continuously trapped by each and every frame of the waking state, taking everything to be real, real, real. By accepting entire reflected object or world or any manifested object, your consciousness remains ignorant about the source of itself. The very basic fundamental point itself is totally missing without knowing that it is only consciousness. Your consciousness never goes inward and stabilizes there constantly and merge there itself constantly to find out the source of itself. By not knowing that it is consciousness only, as well as by not knowing the source of itself, your consciousness accepts the personality to be itself and get trapped by the concept of birth and death as real. All the form level appearances, happenings and disappearances are not you. This also your consciousness never knows. Every movement, every happening is by the spontaneous interaction of the elements out of light. Your consciousness is not moving. Only movement happens out of it. This also your consciousness never knows. Your consciousness is infinite, but it never knows its infinity beyond boundaries, beyond limitations. It is confining itself as a tiny form with a fixed shape and design. Your consciousness is prior to words, but it never knows. It is always become a slave to all words, not knowing that words are only for utility and it is not real. Because words are constantly moving, changing. Your consciousness is prior to time. but it is trapped by the time limitations. So your consciousness, which is prior to space, prior to object, prior to time, prior to movements, prior to words, now caught by all happenings within space, every movement within space, by the activity of the every object within space, and it is trapped by every word also by identifying too much, and continuously trapped by time also. Everything is contrary within space, but originally it is prior to all such things. Your consciousness is prior to duality, prior to all movements. By not knowing what it is trapped throughout the waking state within space. First, your consciousness can know itself only by closing eyes and knowing the peace within. Without knowing the stillness, it cannot know itself because it's beyond words. It cannot be known through words. Your consciousness neither knows that it is consciousness nor knows that everything arises only out of it. The moment you are conscious, the moment you come to know that you are, not only your form, but all form within space happen just now. That too spontaneously. If you can deeply imbibe these words, very easily your consciousness can wake up. You will not be trapped by the personality level. You will not find any divisions here. You will not have any conflict with everything around you once you know deeply that everything, whether it is living or non-living object, arises out of your consciousness only just now. But for your conscious presence, there is no thing here. Once the secret is known, you remain calm, cool, stabilized, and you will observe the world silently and make use of the world whenever it is essential. Rest of the time, you remain so silent about whatever is pursuing. Unless it is essential, you will not unnecessarily involve yourself too much, and you will come to know that your presence is more than enough to you. Just now you are closing eyes and knowing the peace within. You know that you are without words. this conscious presence is more than enough to you, wherever you are, and whatever you do. You will remain content with what you are and whatever that is going around you. You will not fight anywhere once you are conscious of yourself. You will not hate anything once you are conscious of yourself, because everything is part of yourself. Unknowingly, you remain ignorant. Without knowing the consciousness within. Once you start knowing the consciousness within, you are enough unto yourself. Here, you means no, not a person or a tiny form. Not this. You means your infinity, your wholeness. Your consciousness is not limited. To know the unlimited potential of your consciousness only, now you are made to close your eyes and know the peace within, the stillness within. This stillness cannot be measured. It has got no length or breadth to be measured, because it is not an object. It is your own subject. The stillness is not moving. It contains everything within, but it remains silent. It neither moves nor changes, because it's not an object. It is your own subject. I help you to abide in the subject of your consciousness within and make you more still. Why? Then only your consciousness can wake up totally and know its unborn supreme nature beyond duality. You are already non-dual, but you never know it. You cannot know it also. Only in duality your presence is known at the conscious level. Duality is only to know your conscious presence. But unknowingly, your consciousness never knows that it is consciousness. The primary essence itself is missing. Your consciousness does not know that it is consciousness. Unless you close your eyes and know the peace within, there's no chance for you to know that you are consciousness only just now. Even if you read books for millions of years without going inwardly, you cannot know what you are. Practically, you should know what you are. For this practical purpose, you need not go anywhere. Just sitting and closing your eyes is enough. The very easiest thing has become the toughest thing for you. I tell you, The moment you are determined to know your Supreme Self, to know about your original state, you will go inward and stabilize there itself. You will not deviate yourself from stillness. Because it is ever there, but you never value it. You never give importance to yourself. Give importance to everything around you except yourself. Here, yourself means the peace within, the stillness within. You don't know how to perceive the show. You are immediately identifying yourself with the show and get caught continuously. Once you know to observe silently, then the same moment you are relieved from the perceived show. But you never know to observe silently. You must first close your eyes and know the peace constantly. And be there. Nothing can prevent you. You may say there is nothing here. It's not like that. It contains everything. It contains the entire potential of the whole manifestation within space. Now, why you are free? Because once your eyes are closed, there's no object inside. So, nothing to describe about, nothing to compare about. So, you remain relaxed. Through stillness, you remain relaxed. Through identification, you are disturbed, perturbed. If you know this secret, then you will prefer to be in stillness rather than identifying everything around you. Identifications are not you. You are prior to identifications. You identify only an object. To know that you are, you don't require any identifications because yourself is prior to identifications. You know you are. It is self-evident. In your conscious presence only, not only you come to know that you are, you come to know that everything around you. You must settle in the stillness constantly and observe things around you silently. Then it is easier for you to wake up without involving unnecessarily with the objects around you. Unless it is essential, there's no need to involve much. Your involvement will become minimum. And you will be knowing the stillness constantly within. I know why you find so difficult to abide in stillness, because you are stuck at the personality level. Too much. At the memory level. Where does memory exist? Can there be any memory if you are not conscious? Why don't you go deeper and deeper and know that in your consciousness only everything happens. But for your consciousness there is nothing here. Instead of giving importance to yourself, you are giving importance to everything. You are not the memory, you are prior to memory. Memory is only your assistant. You can make use of it if it is needed, or else you can just leave it. Why do you get disturbed by memory? Because you are not conscious of yourself. Once you are conscious of yourself, you don't need any guidance. You know what to do and what to do and what not to do. You take responsibility for yourself, for your actions. Your actions will be very meaningful, very calm. All actions will be as per the requirement of that time. You cannot plan and do. Then and there, your consciousness guides you what to do and what not to do. You will remain fearless once you are conscious of yourself. Fear is not you. Fear is a movement. Fear is due to identification, but you are prior to identification. How can you remain fearful? Once you are conscious, you remain fearlessness. Only through fearlessness, you become more and more conscious of yourself. You will love everything around you. You will respect everything around you. Once you are conscious of yourself. By remaining conscious of yourself, your consciousness starts waking up. It is no more sleeping, but starts waking up. Your consciousness remains relaxed once it is conscious of itself. Your consciousness remains tensed because it is not conscious of itself. The teaching may look simple, but it has a greater significance in your entire lifestyle, in all your actions during the waking state. I don't give you any complicated theory. I make it more simple and tell you that remain conscious of yourself, and you are already conscious, and there's nothing preventing you to be conscious. You cannot blame anyone here because there are no person here. If you talk about any person, that shows you are still ignorant about yourself. Where do all forms appear other than your consciousness? Tell me, unless you are conscious, what is here? How do you know? How can you know? I am shaking up your consciousness within. Just now, in your consciousness only everything is happening. If you are not conscious, there is nothing here. So everything you contain within yourself. Then what more you want? Still you become a slave to something. Still you become fearful. You remain fearful. And still you remain ignorant. And still you remain a beggar outside. You are an emperor already. Whatever is necessary for you, you contain it right now. Which is preventing you? Why you fail to remain conscious? After coming here and listening to my teaching, how can you find difficult to be conscious of yourself? That shows you are stuck so much at the personality level, unwilling to come out of it. You can never remain conscious of yourself as long as you are holding on to the personality to be yourself. What is a person? Are you a person? Are you not conscious of yourself? Can the form function without consciousness? Here, each and every object within space is made out of consciousness. This subject may be very, very new to you. That's why you find a little bit hesitant to accept or to listen or to imbibe. But I have to tell you, all your drawbacks within space are only because you fail to remain conscious of yourself. You fail to know the stillness within. You always find divisions and divisions here, as if everything is real. In your sleep dream, you never do anything, and spontaneously you are inside the dream. And so many things are happening inside the dream. And you accept also as if everything is real, 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 real. From where do they all appear? Did you make any arrangement for the dream to happen and for all those images to appear in that dream? Everything just goes on. And who is the observer of the dream other than yourself? Exactly same thing here. It is your consciousness which is creating every object around you just now, and there are no persons here. Out of your consciousness only just now everything is happening. If you are not conscious, there's nothing here. No appearances, no movements, no happenings. But for your consciousness. When are you going to know? How will you know? By sticking to the personality to be yourself. Though you are the supreme consciousness just now, you never know it. You remain ignorant to that level that you do not know what you are. But you want to know everything except yourself. Then how can you wake up without knowing what you are? I go on tell you that you are only consciousness. How far you have picked up my teachings? Why I am expounding it? I know what you are. That's why I am expounding this knowledge. I know exactly what you are. Out of ignorance of the self only, you suffer, suffer, suffer. Once you are conscious of yourself, you remain so relaxed, free from the entire dream, from the perceived show. And there's nobody here except yourself. Note this point. In your consciousness only every form is appearing. If you are not conscious, there's no form here, no nothing. Not even your presence. You don't know the value of yourself. You never respect yourself, neither you love yourself. Then how can you know what you are? Just now, in your infinity of consciousness only, all finite forms appear and disappear, including your form. To make you aware of your infinity only, I am asking you to close your eyes. You are infinite. You cannot be confined by any finite show, by a finite movie, by a finite dream, by a finite play. You are beyond. You never know your beyondness. You are prior to space. You are prior to duality. Only to make you aware of your beyondness, you are made to close your eyes. Because whenever your eyes are open, you are simply falling down at the form level drama. Then how will you wake up? How can you wake up? By falling into the duality show. Because you remain ignorant about the non-dual in you. You never know that you are infinite just now. And you are using only the finite form to know yourself. The form is essential to know yourself. Otherwise you cannot know that you are. But you do not know what you are. Only a realized can help you. Only a realized can wake you up and make you aware of what you are. No theory can help you. Practically you should know. How? How can you know without remaining conscious of yourself? Your consciousness is most important. You can't miss it because it's already there. Do you ever value yourself? Had you valued yourself, you will abide in stillness constantly. You need immense courage to abide in stillness and observe silently. You never value yourself. Then how can you know what you are? By reading books, you cannot know anything. You are not the knowledge, you are prior to knowledge. Your direct knowing, the stillness within, helps you to know also what you are prior to duality. You have to complete your journey. It's not like sitting for some few hours and closing eyes and again you are falling back into the same drama, same identification, same personality level. That's what exactly going on here. Otherwise, why it takes so much time? I don't know. I'm giving you all the tips necessary for your consciousness to wake up. Without your consciousness, there is no thing here. Make a note of it. Your consciousness is the basic, fundamental, essential factor through which it comes to know its own presence. Yes, I know I am just now. But your consciousness does not know what this I amness is. This I amness is only the expression of the consciousness within. So consciousness is within, only its expressions are outside. Why don't you go within and find out what this consciousness is, because of which you come to know that you are here. But for consciousness, you cannot know anything. Why not you value your consciousness? How can you value your consciousness? By holding on to the personality which is not yourself as yourself. The fundamental mistake is your consciousness is holding on to something as itself, something other than itself as itself. It never knows that it is consciousness. Why I go on emphasize? Because that's where you are going wrong. You are consciousness. Can you deny it? Even to deny it, you must be conscious. Once you are conscious, you cannot deny it. If you deny it, that means you are not yet conscious. The very fundamental basic factor itself is missing. Here you cannot blame anyone because there are no person here, and every form or every person, whatever you call, are appearing just now in your consciousness. They happen only out of your consciousness. Because your consciousness is not individual, it is infinite. You never know your immense value. Your consciousness only creates everything spontaneously. It's not asking anyone here. First of all, there's no one here to ask. It's just like that, spontaneously happening. Once your consciousness is conscious of itself, it remains relaxed. It never begs. It may go on give, but it never begs. And it starts observing also silently the entire show. It will neither compare nor complain. Your presence is more than enough. All these teachings are only to wake up your consciousness. It is addressed only to the consciousness within, not to any person here. Because these teachings are coming straight from the non-dual source out of compassion towards the consciousness which is in search of itself. A person cannot search because there is no person here. It is a consciousness within searching itself, but it searches outwardly wrongly. By searching outside, it cannot get the truth. Your consciousness knows the truth about itself only by going inwardly. Here, inwardly means going beyond space. Outwardly means within space. Whenever your eyes are open, you only perceive the objects within space. So immediately you identify yourself and start chasing the object and longing for the object. So the story goes on and you also remain continuously tensed. Where? Outwardly within space. But that's no reality. It is like chasing something on a screen where the movie is reflected. The real search is to go beyond the duality, to go to the source itself, from where the space happens, from where the screen happens, from where every object happens. The source of entire manifestation is by consciousness itself, but it remains unknown to itself. Even now, your consciousness does not know that everything is arising from itself. The entire space, because within space only you see all objects. The entire space is by your consciousness. Entire cosmos is by your consciousness. There are so many universes, all by your consciousness. You may appear like a tiny form, but never identify yourself as the form, but knowing the peace within, by knowing the stillness within, by remaining conscious of yourself inwardly, you remain totally free from the show. You start valuing yourself once you are conscious. You'll be more loving, you'll be more joyful, you will remain more peaceful once you are conscious of yourself. You contain everything within you. Which is preventing you? That's my question. And no one can prevent you also because there are no person. Because your consciousness does not want to be conscious of itself. Once your consciousness wants to be conscious of itself, the same moment it starts waking up. Even after listening to this teaching, you have got more than 10% chance to remain conscious of yourself and wake up also. I give you guarantee about your consciousness and its source, because I am the source of consciousness and I know what this consciousness is, and I know how the entire duality is reflected in space by consciousness within. I know that there's no reality within any of the play. I want you also to remain relaxed inwardly. You means only consciousness. no persons here. Your consciousness is listening to this talk, and it is your consciousness which is imbibing these talks, and it is your consciousness which remains till now. It starts waking up. How? Beyond words. Your consciousness starts waking up by staying beyond words and observing silently. Your consciousness is already merging in the source when it stays beyond words, because there's no movement. Truth is unmoving, unchanging, and ever present. And you are that. You are not separate from the truth. You contain it just now. And the truth about yourself can be known only at the conscious level. That's why I'm expounding this knowledge to you. Once you are conscious of yourself, very easily you can wake up and know what you are exactly. The most easiest thing is to know yourself. You remain ignorant to that extent and carried away by words, and you fail to remain beyond words and observe. You are always identifying, and fail to observe, and talk, and fail to stay beyond words. So honestly, you are troubling yourself through words and identifications. Once you start knowing silently the stillness within, beyond words, and start observing the entire show without identifications, you are already one with the source. Why not you stay beyond words and observe silently and wake up? I am here to help your consciousness to wake up and know what it is. Just imbibe these teachings deeply and stay beyond words and observe. And you will know. I am here always. You will know that you are ever present here. By remaining conscious of yourself, by remaining utterly relaxed inwardly, by waking up totally, you will also declare that you are ever present here. You are the eternal, beyond duality, and you are the non-dual, ever-present observer just now.